at least one of the spouses must be a Singapore citizen or permanent resident. Additionally, at least one should be physically present in Singapore for at least 15 days before filing the notice of marriage. Also, the marriage procedure in Singapore for foreigners closely mirrors that for Singaporean citizens. Here are the key steps. Getting married in Singapore while being a foreigner comes with its own set of legalities and requirements. Understanding the process is important whether you're an expat or planning to marry a Singaporean citizen. Today, we'll discuss some of the legal considerations for foreigners or expats looking to tie the knot in Singapore. Here are the essential requirements. Number 1, age requirements. Both parties must be at least 21 to marry in Singapore. However, if one person is below 21, parental or guardian consent is necessary, and marrying someone under 18 requires a special marriage license. Number 2, no same-sex marriages. Singapore currently only recognizes marriage between a man and a woman. Number 3, citizenship and residency. At least one of the spouses must be a Singapore citizen or permanent resident. Additionally, at least one should be physically present in Singapore for at least 15 days before filing the notice of marriage. Also, the marriage procedure in Singapore for foreigners closely mirrors that for Singaporean citizens. Here are the key steps. Number 1, filing a notice of marriage. Start by filing an online notice of marriage with the Registry of Marriages, the ROM. Provide all necessary details about the spouses and their 2 witnesses. Number 2, the notice period. The notice of marriage must be filed for at least 21 days before the intended marriage date. Couples can choose a date for their marriage within a window starting from the 21st day and ending 3 months after filing the notice. Number 3, solemnization. Most marriages in Singapore are solemnized at the ROMs, and if you wish to have your ceremony elsewhere, you'll need to have separate approval from a solemnizer. Religious ceremonies typically follow official solemnization. There are also after-marriage considerations for expats and foreigners in Singapore. Unlike other countries, Singapore doesn't grant citizenship or permanent resident status to foreigners marrying Singaporeans. If you plan to continue living or working and residing in Singapore with your spouse, you must consider the following: Long-Term Visit Pass or LTVP. For this, you need to apply to the Ministry of Manpower for an LTVP valid for 1 year. There's also another factor to consider: expat divorce in Singapore. Planning for the possibility of divorce is a prudent step in any marriage, especially if one spouse is a foreigner. Here are some key points to consider. Number 1, eligibility for divorce. In general, divorce is granted if the spouses have been married for at least 3 years. However, exceptions can be made in cases of extreme hardship or cruelty. An annulment, which doesn't require a 3-year marriage, is another option in some circumstances. Number 2, jurisdiction. Singapore courts have jurisdiction over a divorce if either spouse is a Singapore citizen or permanent resident at the start of the divorce proceedings. One spouse has been a habitual resident in Singapore for at least 3 years before filing for divorce. Number 3, divorcing abroad. Some expats consider filing for divorce in another country if they believe that it may be more favorable for them. However, Singapore will only recognize a foreign court's decision if one of the parties is a resident in that jurisdiction. Singaporean residents can also seek court orders to prevent their spouses from filing divorce abroad. While it may not be the most romantic aspect of marriage planning, a prenuptial agreement can also provide some clarity and peace of mind sometimes. Here's why you might consider one. Financial rights and savings. A prenup can clearly state financial rights, which can be crucial when, for instance, an expat marries a Singaporean subject to CPF fund regulations. Matrimonial property. It helps to protect matrimonial property and facilitates the passing of assets to children from previous marriages. Divorce planning. In the event of a divorce in Singapore, a prenup can also be helpful, especially if you plan to turn to a court in your home country. So, now you know. If you found this helpful, follow and subscribe to our channel for more legal things.